we'll see what happens with China. We would love to be able to work a deal. They've really taken advantage of our country for a long period of time. They've ripped us off beyond anybody, nobody. How people stood for it, sitting in my position, is not even believable. And we're talking about many presidents, not just a couple. But they did, and all we're doing is putting it back in shape. We're resetting the table. And I'm sure that we'll be able to get along very well. I have great respect for President Xi. He's been, in a true sense, he's been a friend of mine for a long period of time. And I think that we'll end up working out something that's very good for both countries. I look forward to it.
Mr. President, China retaliated today by reducing the number of American films that can be shown there. What's your reaction to them now targeting cultural exports from the United States?
I think I've heard of worse things.
This is not a normal recession kind of situation. We are changing the monetary order. In other words, when we start to think there's supply and the demand for debt, and one man's debts are another man's assets, as I said. And then the question is, money, which is debt, is supposed to be both a medium of exchange and a storehold of wealth. And there are times in history, and this is one of those times in history, that there's a question of whether bonds are an effective storehold of wealth because of this supply demand and so on.
Maybe we put the financial crisis on hold, but we still get to have a recession. So that's how I feel. And I don't want to get too negative. I'm not out shorting the market. I'm not a hedge fund. But I just want to give people a really accurate picture that this feels more to me like a classic bear market than it does a correction or a dip or a quote-unquote healthy pullback.
Going to be in a recession. And the question really, recession is, a line at zero you get, and then, sort of 2 quarters in that. And I think right now it's close call and it's probable. But who cares about let's say 2 quarters of stagnation or a little bit of negative? I'm more worried about the greater dynamic of these conflicts. I'm worried about more serious issues
that are structural,
the financial,
and hard to
the
fix.
political, the financial, the political, and the geopolitical, because they feed on itself if you get a bad one,
We might have to go through a brief recession in order to rebuild our foundation. And you say, how much longer can investors hold? Look, the market's not up and to the right, every year of every decade. And I think that this is a necessary resetting so that we can grow again in the future and grow more thoughtfully.
Actually, 145%, not 125% as they told us yesterday. This is not a new shift. This is based, I want to make clear, on a close reading of the executive order. I have it here. When they amended their executive order yesterday, they changed the rate, the reciprocal rate, so-called, from 84% to 125%. But that comes on top of the fentanyl rate that was already in place this term of 20% against China. So a White House official confirmed to me it is correct to add those numbers together, making the new rate that President Trump has added in tariffs against China so far this term to 145%. A big jump there from where we thought we were even yesterday and the start of the week as well. These numbers just keep increasing. And as you guys know, you do have to add that 145% to any tariffs that were already in place before President Trump took office this term. That's the Section 301 tariffs from his first term, as well as anything else that was already in place at baseline. But now the new rate, when you add all these figures together, for this term that they've added against China is 145% on Chinese imports.
I've lost track on whether this includes reciprocals, it doesn't, and how we got to 145%. Kayleigh.
Yeah, and this really is about math and how these tariffs layer on top of each other, as there are different tariff regimes that China is subject to. As President Trump made clear yesterday in his post on True Social, he has raised the reciprocal tariff rate on China to now 125%. That, of course, has been escalated multiple times due to China's retaliation. But that did not include the 20% tariff that he had already put into place on Chinese goods earlier this year over the trade of fentanyl. So it's about adding that 125 to that 20% that was already existing, which gets us to the total rate of 145%. Now, this was actually all there in the White House's fine print, but obviously, it's difficult to understand with this fast-moving story how all of these tariffs work in tandem together, but it does seem that this is a figure that was higher, at least, than the market previously understood it to be.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and you know I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And we have Trump has jokes when asked about the China tariffs. And when we look at the digital economy, Trump is making billions. But what's going to happen to American consumers? They're about to crumble, because a lot of these China goods are not going to be coming here any longer, and then also are going to be very expensive. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have Ray Dalio talks about the changing of the monetary order. And we know what he's talking about: the fall of the U.S. dollar and the rise of China and that digital yuan. Remember, Ray Dalio spent a lot of time in China and is heavily invested. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have the media saying we are in a bear market and we're going into a recession, and how quickly things have changed. But don't forget, the Fed has 200 basis points to work with, but they're always late on purpose. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And Ray Dalio knows the drums are about to beat. The geopolitical events are just going to keep heating up, especially going towards the end of this year. And we have Cal Bass says we might have to go through a brief recession in order to rebuild our foundation. And we know what he's talking about: the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have these China tariffs. Instead of 125%, they're 145%. And again, the goods that do come to America, they're about to be a whole lot more expensive. And we know China is moving their goods over to the emerging markets and flooding it. Why are they doing that? Because the fourth industrial revolution switch is about to be flipped, where these poor people are about to go into the middle class, and China already have their goods ready to buy. Guys, this is genius. Yes, it's evil genius, but it is genius. And who's going to be left on the outside looking in? That's right, America. And is anyone going to be feeling sorry for Americans? No, they will not. We used our military and the U.S. dollar to put a whipping on them, and they can't wait for a whipping to be put on us. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. Now we have the Japanese yen will get stronger because Japan eventually has to raise these rates, but we know it's all time with the Fed. And the same thing goes for a lot of these tariffs. And we have Treasury yields are going up and the dollar is weakening. And we know none of these numbers are making any sense, because everything is being manipulated. Remember, there's an algorithm controlling everything, and we know BlackRock's Aladdin is undefeated. And boy, yesterday and today, you can see that algorithm working overtime. And don't forget, they make money whether it's going up or going down. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you. And we have the Trump tax bill passes the House. And we know when bills are this big, they're full of agendas. And that agenda is a digital economy. They gotta get us moved over. And speaking of the digital economy, you have the Amazon CEO speaking of Gen AI. and how it's going to change everything that we do, and agentic AI. And guys, this AI is embedded in the systems. Now they actually can make decisions. So these robots, algorithms, and drones are going to be run the economy without a human involved. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
And hitting its best level against the U.S. dollar since late September. One of our traders thinks the return of the yen safety trade could be a warning sign for technology. Chris Verone will go off the charts here. Chris.
Yeah, this has been a very important theme in our work, not just the last number of weeks, but really since last summer when dollar yen peaked. Go back to those last weeks of July into August. You had a 3 or 4 sigma move lower down in dollar yen. I think what's very important over the last couple days is how the relationship between 10-year yields and yen has changed pretty dramatically. It's why I'm a little bit more sanguine about rates here. I don't think we're going to lose 10-year yields a lot higher from here. They're very correlated to dollar yen. Dollar yen has broken down here in a big way. You've seen this big divergence now open up between what yields have done and what yen has done. I think ultimately yields will catch down to where dollar yen is. Now, if you think about what the implications of this are for market leadership, it's not a coincidence, certainly I don't think it is, that dollar yen peaked July 10th, the same exact day that tech versus S&P also peaked. So when you think about yen carry for so many years as really being a dominant reason of how money moved around the world, as that changed, so did tech's relative leadership in the U.S. change. So I think very important relationship there. And we like dollar yen lower here. We've been using a 130 target. We're 144 on the screen right now. So I think ultimately, as we look out over the next year, continued yen strength, again, will impact or prevent tech really from coming back as the leader in this market that so many are used to.
There's a flight to quality, and quality becomes defined as U.S. Treasuries and the U.S. dollar. In this particular downdraft in the market, we're seeing Treasury yields go up and the dollar weaken. That's kind of an alarming trend. To me, that's flashing yellow that something is going on here more than just deleveraging.
Hey, Sarah. Well, yes, the House has advanced Donald Trump's one big, beautiful bill. This isn't the exact policy yet, but it's the very key framework that is needed to go ahead and move on a number of policies, including, of course, that $5 trillion in tax cuts, as well as raising the debt limit ceiling. That's going to come due in a couple months here. It was really tight. You saw Speaker Johnson huddling with a number of holdouts who were concerned about how much this was add to the deficit just before the vote. Interestingly enough, though, once he got into the chamber, he made a beeline for a number of Republicans who are concerned that cutting $1.5 trillion from federal spending is going to mean cuts to Medicaid, as well as other programs that Republicans know their constituents rely on. It really just shows the delicate balance here that Republicans are having to walk in getting Trump's agenda done. And there's still so much more left to go. They have to figure out all the policy details now. The devil is always in the details up here on Capitol Hill. But at least this point, Mike Johnson, John Thune, and Donald Trump can all at least claim the win for today to say that this part of the process is done. And now, of course, they are on to the actual nitty-gritty details.
We need to spend some time with Andy Jassy, the CEO and author of that letter. This is what he's writing this morning. He says that he's, quote, optimistic about the progress and potential of our existing businesses. A key theme of the letter is Amazon's effort to operate as, quote, the world's largest startup as it takes on artificial intelligence in the tech race. Jassy writing that, quote, generative AI is going to reinvent virtually every customer experience that we know. And Amazon is investing aggressively in this new technology. Last month, Amazon formed a brand new unit at AWS that is dedicated to agentic AI.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, And then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of the huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence.
Cryptoteacher and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Tam save New York from COVID stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.